Okay, so I am back because after the last video in English, I came with the sentences because I had many experiences, many conversations, and then I wrote on Facebook, my only obsession is infinite, meaning limitless, meaning many stories about the tree that I have here, the tree of life, that some people can be obsessed with get the most beautiful flower of the tree and getting alternative and shortcuts to go there. And I made many videos and many stories about this situation, the shortcuts and everything about that. When I mean infinite or limitless, or is that instead of being obsessed to get the most beautiful flower, and people get into that level, boom, and they get the best beautiful flowers, blah blah blah, but there is a moment that they feel that there is something else and they don't know what it is, but they became an expert in these flowers, but they are not aware that they are the tree. They are not aware that they are the forest. They are not aware that they are the planet. They are not aware that they are the cosmos. That nothing exists, and you are the creator of that, projecting that reality in that way. So it's limitless, my obsession. And nobody in the comments on Facebook has understood at all that first part of the message. The second part of the message is my only addiction is learning. These are the two things that I always said in my life since I am 20 something. Because I am aware of obsessions. So my only obsession is that I cannot have an obsession. That's why I'm saying limitless, infinite. I'm not gonna explain letter by letter how it is. But now I wanna do it. Because in Alice in Wonderland, you see all kinds of people, all kinds of people. In my world is much bigger than Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland is just one dream. I felt like Einstein, I felt like Tesla, I felt like Lewis Carroll, I felt like Buddha, I felt like everybody, and not only me, they all felt like me. And this is another reality. Because what I'm talking about is no knowledge written in books, that maybe it is. But I didn't infer through books. I didn't infer through thoughts. I didn't infer through this. I just was living them parallel as a child all the time. And my life in Wonderland has been forever. I've been describing Wonderland for the last 15 years, sharing it with people in those kind of concepts to get to speak a similar language. Because I could be doing it about El Quixote, the same story, exactly the same thing about the craziness, transcending craziness. Why El Quixote is crazy, I already said in the previous video. He got crazy reading lots of books about knights, and he became a fake knight. But he was like 200 years after this kind of knights, and he needed a squire. So he created everything. He creates his own cosmos, and that's what he sees, and he sees the giants. And then Sancho Panza is the rational mind, and then Miguel de Cervantes is the observer telling you, but there is higher and higher. It's the same as the video I made speaking with myself. Who's real? Who's more real? But it's not myself. It's the other reality. It's the side of the mirror. It's different. But then there is a higher dimension. And then both of them become in the same dimension, real or unreal, instead of being real and not real. There was one and the other at the beginning because they were, but once there is observer, both of them are real or not real. Not anymore real and unreal. And then the observer filming is looking at the camera, but there is no camera there. But the observer is talking to you, the observer, the spectator. But who are you if you are not higher in Wonderland? You are just an avatar. You don't know who you are, and because you are living the life you've been told to live. And all this, if you understand Alice in Wonderland, is like that. If you understand El Quixote, is like that. If you understand Fallout, is like that. If you understand Superstore, is like that. If you understand Disjointed, is like that. If you understand Lives of Brian, is like that. In Matrix, in Avatar, it's there all the time. But people still tell you, oh, that's the evil is there. Just follow the path to God. So when people are getting like against the Catholic religion, they are getting into a negative religion, but it's not transcending the religions. And they can be pagans, they can be satanic, they are all the same. You have to transcend that, because God is less than Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll doesn't exist anymore. God is you feeling the connections of all these things. And then from there, you can learn more things, and you bring them, and you can verbalize as a person and share it. And then you can see how people agree with my ideas that they didn't understand at all. And that's what happened with any religion. People are fighting and killing for some ideas that is not what Jesus Christ said. And the same thing as here. I put this, and how all the spiritual people, they were the first two people, they were the spiritual people. And one is learning by doing. Yeah, very original, very clever, very high, very conceptual. And the other, and I said that you can only understand that if you break the paradox. And you cannot break the paradox if you don't try. You are just trying to break it in one dimension, which is, yes, I'm going to give another thing of that, which is the same thing, is another religion, the opposite of the religion or whatever, that doesn't matter. Even if you agree or disagree, it's the same thing. And the other one is taking the two completely different concepts, converted into one, and in a positive story. Like learning more and more and more, just the infinite learning. And what about the obsession and addiction? To be aware of that, to not be like that. Because it's not that I am addicted to learn in the way people can imagine what addiction is. Because it is impossible not to learn anything even when nothing happens. Because even when nothing happens, I am aware of the nothingness happening. And it happened many times in my life. And that gives you another perspective again, and another, and there is a moment that you are so full of perspectives, jumping from one dimension to another so easily, that when I share a video or a sentence or a document, it is written, it is verbalized, it is brought from the other side. And it's not Wonderland. Wonderland is just part of the same thing. Wonderland is nothing. It's like Crazyland is the craziest step. But so, because in Wonderland, who are you? People would say, I am Alice, the most alternative, I am Alice. But most of the people are the Lord. Most of the people are the aunt, the single old aunt. Most of the people are the mother-in-law. Most of the people are the father of Alice. Few people. The possible father-in-law, the pretending father-in-law, for he was an open-minded guy, but he was not a visionary like the other one. So they are completely different levels. But people are cheating because they are not themselves. That's the problem of the identity. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Alice was the only one that, if you feel the whole presentation of the movie, she's the only one that she's herself. The rest of the people are someone else's commandments. And her mother is just like invalid because she doesn't have the not dual human by her side. So she can be open or narrow, it doesn't matter. The husband would be everything else. And that's what he gave to, no, he gave. Probably he encouraged, because all the children have this power, but the parents are cutting it, the teachers are cutting it, the neighbors are cutting it, everybody's cutting it some way or another, trying to help sometimes, and some of the times trying to get advantage. There are pedophilians that they want to get advantage of the sex. There are killers, there are all kinds of people. But there is never awareness in 99% of the population, and those are the elements put on the movie, and many people probably recognize themselves, but only in a way, but they don't want to be that. So they hold on to Alice. And they can pretend to be Alice, they can do this, but some of them, if they watch Alice for the first time and they are contaminated by the human society concepts, they wouldn't be ashamed to recognize that they are the Red Queen, the Queen of Hearts. There are so many people that they are the Queen of Hearts, and they would never, once they watch the movie, they would never recognize in that, but they are that. With all this positive sentiment, like, it's her own perspective. Mistreating the animals is part of the no awareness. She's not a bad person. She's wanting love, but she doesn't know how to get it. So everybody's doing what, but in this case with power, you make everybody to adapt to your universe, instead of you being in a colorful universe. So the white queen is just the same, it's the other side of the coin. Alice is the one that breaks the duality. And people would identify with one or the other, just like happened with Inside Out. Another thing, Soul, another thing, but nothing new. When I watched them on the minute 20, I knew what the movie was already. And when I watched Everything Everywhere all at once, it was my life. In the previous 3 years, I was talking about all those things in real experiences, but not with special effects jumping from one dimension to another. But so this video is just the reflection that came out of the message that I shared on Facebook.